Well, a 76-year-old retiree who's living on the full load of government benefits for his age group, Medicare, Social Security, and in his case, a government pension, and who has discovered that golf is the least effective form of exercise to control weight and stay in shape, is now a full year and a half into the worst life ever lived by a former president of the United States. Donald Trump his life is a misery from the moment he wakes up too early in the morning through those dark hours in the middle of the night when he's struggling against the insomnia to find some peace. Peace that never comes. Pure misery. That is his life. Prior to Donald Trump, the worst post-presidential life ever lived was Richard Nixon's 20 years after being forced to resign the presidency in disgrace because of the crimes he committed in office, for which he was assuredly going to be impeached if he stayed in office, and convicted in the Senate and removed from office. But 1 month into Richard Nixon's painful post-presidency, his successor, Gerald Ford, relieved him of the worst pain by granting him a full pardon for any crimes Richard Nixon committed during his presidency. Donald Trump does not have the comfort of a pardon to soften the agony of his days and nights. And so Donald Trump's life now is much, much worse than the 20 years Richard Nixon spent in mere disgrace after the presidency. I say mere disgrace because Donald Trump spends every day and every night under disgrace and multiple threats of indictment, of federal and state indictments, and possible of criminal convictions eventually, both federal and state, for possible crimes committed while he was president and possible crimes committed after his presidency, including crimes that he might actually be committing tonight if he is still illegally in possession of any of the government documents, including classified documents, that he was supposed to return to the National Archives. Every day of Donald Trump's life now is worse than the day before. And tomorrow is going to be much, much worse than today, because tomorrow we are going to see significant portions of an FBI affidavit that the Justice Department will release following an order to do so from a federal judge today, who approved the Justice Department's redactions in that affidavit to protect the identity of witnesses and the possible investigative techniques being used in an ongoing criminal investigation of Donald Trump. U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart, who authorized the search warrant of Donald Trump's Florida home, has ordered federal prosecutors to make the redacted version of the affidavit used to support the search warrant public on or before noontime tomorrow. Could be anytime tomorrow morning. That redacted that redacted affidavit that supported the search warrant, while blocking witnesses' names and FBI agents' names, is going to reveal substantial evidence against Donald Trump. Donald Trump said he was an insomniac long before he reached the presidency. How do you think Donald Trump is going to sleep tonight? Tonight, Donald Trump knows that even the redacted version of the FBI affidavit released tomorrow is going to make tomorrow the very worst day of his life so far, only to be followed by even worse days, including possible days in court, in federal court, or in Georgia state court as a criminal defendant Donald Trump. Donald Trump knows what's coming better than any of us do, because Donald Trump knows what he did. Donald Trump knows what he did when he was trying to overturn the presidential election in Georgia and other states. Donald Trump knows what he did leading up to and during the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Donald Trump knows what he did when he decided to steal government documents and bring them home. Donald Trump knows what he decided, that he decided to illegally possess those documents for a year and a half. Donald Trump knows who made the decision to do that. He did. Donald Trump also knows that he now has terrible lawyers defending him. Really, in effect, no one defending him now. Donald Trump knows, as of today, his last White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, is being subpoenaed to testify about him to District Attorney Fani Willis's grand jury in Atlanta. Notice that Donald Trump is not making any public comments now, warning Mark Meadows and his former election lawyer, Sidney Powell, who has also been subpoenaed to that same grand jury in Georgia. No warnings from Donald Trump about flipping. Notice that Donald Trump, he's not warning any of these witnesses not to flip, as he publicly did when he was president. He used that word, flip. As president of the United States, Donald Trump publicly warned Paul Manafort not to flip. That was the word he used publicly, the gangster word for telling the truth. He did the same thing with Roger Stone. He did the same thing with Michael Flynn. Donald Trump did that while he was president of the United States because he knew he had an attorney general who would protect him against charges of obstruction of justice. Tonight, Donald Trump is under investigation by Attorney General Merrick Garland, specifically for obstruction of justice, among other things. That is how Donald Trump's life has changed. That is how it has become pure misery. And tonight, Donald Trump, living in fear of a real attorney general for the first time in his life, does not dare to play the public game of witness intimidation and obstruction of justice that he played and was allowed to play when he was president of the United States. Donald Trump knows what it feels like to have the full protection of the presidency. Donald Trump knows what it feels like to have the full protection of an Attorney General, William Barr, who believed the old Nixon lie that if a president does it, it's not a crime. When you've had that kind of protection, imagine what it's like to have none. Tonight, Donald Trump has no legal protection against what he did. And Donald Trump knows what he did. And that's why no president in history has ever lived the agony that Donald Trump is living tonight. Donald Trump is asking himself, will I be indicted? Donald Trump is asking himself, how many times will I be indicted? It has been 17 days since the FBI executed a search warrant at Donald Trump's home, and Donald Trump has not offered one word of defense or explanation about what was in his home. Not one word. Donald Trump has been terrified into abject silence about the evidence because he knows what the evidence is. Donald Trump began his day today on his social media site at 8:50 a.m. with a series of short bursts of anger that would be called tweets if he was still allowed on Twitter. And they proved how desperate and cornered Donald Trump's mind is now. Clearly, his mind was on the agony of the criminal investigations of his activities, primarily involving the FBI search of his home. But in the first burst of rage, he didn't talk about that. Instead, he just mentioned Joe and Hunter Biden and the laptop from hell. Nothing about the evidence against Donald Trump. In the second one, Donald Trump said Joe Biden said he knew nothing about the break-in of Mar-a-Lago or the greatest political attack in the history of the U.S. Does anybody really believe this? Now, the answer to that question is yes, most people believe Joe Biden. And the documentation in the case now shows that President Biden specifically refused any involvement in the decision about what to do about government documents kept at Donald Trump's home after the Trump presidency. Back when Donald Trump was protected by the presidency and protected by the Attorney General, Donald Trump wouldn't have asked the question, does anyone believe Joe Biden? He would have called Joe Biden a liar. He would have called Merrick Garland a liar by name and attacked Merrick Garland by name personally. But Donald Trump is afraid to do that now. So now it's just a question, does anyone believe that? Donald Trump is living an unprotected life, and that terrifies him. A few minutes after those statements on his social media thing, he had this burst saying, I have done absolutely nothing wrong. It cannot be, the Presidential Records Act cannot be circumvented for me or any other president, he was saying. They illegally raided my home and took things that should not have been taken. They even broke into my safe, an unthinkable act. Donald Trump does not really believe that when the FBI searches a home, there is some part of the home that they must not search, like, say, a safe, which I promise you, every time the FBI raids a home or enters a home and finds a safe, that's the first thing they go in. Donald Trump's just pretending that the search of his safe was unthinkable. 1 minute later, Donald Trump blurted out the statement, Presidential Records Act, exclamation point. That was it. Presumably as if that is a defense instead of the reason that Donald Trump's actions are illegal. We know Donald Trump violated the law as stated in the Presidential Records Act. We don't yet know if he will be prosecuted for that violation. 7 minutes later, Donald Trump made his last statement of the day about any of this, saying the Justice Department and the FBI are leaking at levels never seen before, and I did nothing wrong. Both of those things are not true. There have been no leaks at all from the Justice Department as far as we know, and we absolutely know that Donald Trump did many things wrong with those documents that he was illegally possessing at his home. I read you what Donald Trump had to say today simply to plumb the depths of his abject desperation, and now no doubt near madness. As we stand poised at the threshold of reading more about criminal conduct by Donald Trump in the FBI affidavit that will be released before noontime tomorrow, the affidavit that convinced a federal judge that a search warrant of Donald Trump's home would probably reveal evidence of crimes including the mishandling of government documents and the crime of obstruction of justice. Donald Trump knows what he did, but even Donald Trump doesn't know what is in the FBI affidavit. He won't get it 1 second before we do. If Donald Trump has the strength to read it tomorrow, he will be reading it at the same time we read it. Because the special treatment of Donald Trump is all over. And now for Donald Trump, there is nothing but misery followed by misery.